Anybody want to contribute to this? Anybody want to say anything about parking? Can I ask how many people know of Mr. Mustard? Okay, if you're a driver and you don't know about Mr. Mustard, I highly recommend get yourself to a computer, just type in Mr. Mustard. He is the parking guru for the Barnet area, and he probably single-handedly gets more appeals granted against PCNs than anybody else. And he does it because they're badly issued, not because he, has any magic power. So fair tickets are fair tickets, and the others get refunded.
Oh, could I just...
Yes.
I'll just add my endorsement for Mr. Mustard, who is a great guy. But the fact that he manages to get so many people off their tickets is an illustration that so many tickets are not being issued properly. I just wanted to say, with the NSL, we're tied into contracts in NSL in the same way as the council's tied us into long contracts with Capita. But I think what we need to make sure is that we crawl over those contracts and make sure that every little thing in there is enforced, and that we don't let these companies get away with anything in the way that NSL have not been delivering in the past. And then same with Capital, we need to make sure that the contract is properly enforced, and we want to make sure that effort is put into that, because we're not going to let them get away with anything that they should be doing.
We'll support you in that.
The lady over here, and then the lady at the back.
Thank you. I'm Anne Hudson, Councillor in Woodhouse Ward. I'm just sitting here thinking that actually this is a prime example of where on paper something looks much cheaper to run. You outsource, they say, yes, of course you have a job, but it's in Worthing, or you have a job, but it's in Derby or wherever. But actually what's been happening with the, you then employ people, you don't pay them proper wages, you don't invest in training, tickets get wrongly issued and then appeal against. In the end, it's not only is it not a saving for the council, it ends up being more expensive or certainly not saving any money, but it's also about quality of life for Barnet residents. And this is a prime example of showing that just on paper some contracts being contracted out because I guess it looks much cheaper. Actually, in the end, it's not cheaper. And that's my point.
Okay, and lady in the back.
Just another question about parking, and I wonder what some of the possible politicians are going to do about it. Not only are people being issued wrongly with tickets, a lot of the problem comes because parking spaces aren't actually designated properly. One of the issues we have in front of the library is that there are very small signs at the back showing disabled parking in the loading bay, but there's nothing on the ground. And that can be quite confusing for people. And if you go elsewhere in Barnet, trying to make sense of the parking signs in the community and really allow you to see where you can and can't park safely. And I heartily endorse the last speaker's comment about doing things for the residents of Barnet and keeping it in Barnet and keeping this place for Barnet. At the moment, we've got a complete jobs drain simply because there aren't any jobs locally. So how do they expect this area to regenerate if we haven't got people here who have a living wage to help them live here and work here and feel connected to the area? It just is a complete and utter mockery. So please, if any of you get into power, please change those parking signs, put something on the ground and start bringing services back into Barnet. Thank you.
Let me just ask you, who's actually responsible for the signage? Is it the council, or NSL, or Capita?
Well, I think this is part of the problem. It has come up at meetings. It's not entirely clear. It's not entirely clear who is responsible. One of the big problems. It is true. There is a big problem with the state of the signs and lines within Barnet, and that has been the case for some time. And that is a significant reason why a lot of tickets can't be enforced, because the signs and lines are simply not clear enough, and that's why they end up getting overturned on appeal. So I think it is actually NSL that are responsible. I think the council has a role as well, but we need to make sure that's another area that needs to be fixed, because you know it's unfair on people parking and getting tickets purely not through their own fault, because it's not clear. And I totally understand. Some parking signs are ridiculous. There's three different things, and there's a loading time when you can't park there. And it's not surprising for people without a degree in parking that they get confused.
And that lack of clarity is all part of the outsourcing problem, so that all kinds of things fall between the cracks, and and nobody carries the can. Whom are we going to blame? It's not at all clear. And it would be really, really, really helpful if we could have a simple, straightforward system of cycle lanes where we all know where we can go.
Okay, Phil, did you want to say something?
Yes. Okay. Right. Okay. Various things. I'll try and keep myself short. One thing is coming back to Anne, who's the lady who was standing up there. One thing is with if we did bring back things in house, that would mean a lot of people spending their money in Barnet and improving the local economy. Another thing, I'm going to get onto the political broadcast bit now. Our one MP, Caroline Lucas, has tabled a motion, at least she's tabled the motion in Parliament, to have the option of when any contract goes out for tender, that the first option will be in-house and not being farmed out to any other firm, and that would be one way out. The other thing what Anna was saying was that nobody knows who's responsible for the signage, sorry, I'll try to speak clearer, is that it's obviously a weakness in the contract. They should have negotiated that when they were going through the negotiation process and considered that, so we would all know. And what Peter was saying about the lights, you would talk about trams or light railway.
Well, it's a light railway, but
Yeah.
in the streets it becomes a tram, doesn't it?
Okay, yeah, okay. Yes, I suppose in Cologne you've got something similar. You've got light rail when it's not in the street, and then it's become not in the street. The same line, yes. I lived in Cologne for 30 years. Okay, I'm sorry, I've got various other ideas. I don't want to stutter around, that's German, stotter. And I'll let someone else get the microphone. Yeah.
If anyone wants to know who to contact about the street signs, because we had to get my husband's disabled bay sign removed, it's the street scene department. I have their email number and telephone number at home, because we were actually wrongly issued with parking tickets once the disabled bay had been removed when my husband died, because they were very, very slow about removing some of the markings. So, but apparently it is them, definitely there are. There's one gentleman in the department totally responsible for this, apparently.
Okay,
I just as a postscript to my question, one of the members of the library was stopped by a CEO the other day for unloading books in the loading bay outside the library, and when she said, "But I'm unloading books, that's what I'm doing," she was told she was driving the wrong kind of vehicle. So like there is confusion, there is chaos. And you maybe take the point about take the bus. It isn't always totally 100% practical. I agree with it completely, along with cycling and all the other things, provided the provision is made. But I do think that this sort of what feels like the public are being bamboozled in some way. It seems like a bit of a con, and she was issued with the ticket and she paid it, and and that's so I am a bit concerned about how this is going to pan out. So listen to that.
for future reference, Mr. Mustard. He's doing one for me at the moment, so...
He's a green voter, by the way.
There's also don't want to get his bike out.
But I mean, sorry, can I don't want to monopolise this, and I want to finish this now. But I was issued with a ticket quite rightly, outside the library. It was very dark, and I was parked in a disabled bay. I work in a special school, so it was a genuine mistake, and I came out fully expecting to pay the ticket. When the ticket was put on my car, I'd moved I hadn't even got out of the car. It was for something completely different, and I actually won my appeal on the grounds that the ticket I originally thought I was being given actually wasn't it at all. They made up some other reason why I should have a ticket. So, yeah, I agree with Colonel Mustard, but I actually also...
Outside the library.
Outside the library.
With a gun. Okay, we have time for one more question, which is...